And let me pull up. So I'm gonna just use a clip from the video that I did earlier this week, because I already have these clips kind of strapped together in the beginning. So we can kind of use this as a guide. And again, this will be great because we're gonna get Ron's initial reaction to some of this stuff. But there's a couple of clips in here that will kind of give us an idea. So let me pull this down and get this. Make sure I don't miss anything here. I saw you back there. All right, so we should have audio ready to go here. All right, so this is just the intro. This will have some of the clips in it. We'll go through this. We'll talk about this. And there's some other clips out there that I have saved on some Twitter tabs I'll pull in that some other folks shared with me during the week. So, all right. Well, just when you thought Star Wars couldn't get any more dead under Disney's guardianship, they found another box of nails to drive into an already buried coffin.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
After announcing a new Rey movie, Disney subsequently let the world know that it would be helmed by feminist independent filmmaker Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who once said back in 2015 that,
I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable and recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude.
All right, now I'm going to stop right there because I know there's been some comments made about that because, well, it's semi out of context and this, that, and the other thing. I get the fact that her limited career in filmmaking. By the way, she never went to film school. She has no educational background in filmmaking. She just started doing documentaries, and good on her for that. She was successful. She's won some Oscars, and I think Chris Gore even made a perfect comment to that. He said, I think she's won a few Oscars for her documentaries, whatever that means in 2024. So I'm going to steal Chris Gore's line on that one. But the documentary she made, she's a Pakistani Canadian woman, as she's been described. I guess, one of the mom, dad, whatever, Pakistan and Canadian. But the point is that the documentary she made largely had to do with a lot of the abuses of women in the Middle East. Go figure. And those comments were, part and parcel dealing with that, which I understand. But again, if that's the only thing that we were using to judge her attitude towards Star Wars, I would say, yes, you're right. That's probably not a good thing. That's out of context. But the problem is that she's continued on making comments even since she was named as the director for this new Star Wars movie that makes it very clear that this is not just limited to her documentaries about women in the Middle East. This is going to come after men of the West as well. In a recent WTF moment in an interview with CNN, Sharmeen had this to add.
I think it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, shut up.
Okay. It's my little Reagan moment there. So, all right, look. So, again, take the comments as they are here, Ron. It's about time we've had a woman shape Star Wars. We haven't had Kathleen Kennedy for over 10 years now running Lucasfilm into the toilet. We haven't had other female directors, apparently. The entire sequel trilogy was based around girl power and destroying and replacing the men that made Star Wars what it was, the success, the commercial success it was. And as I go on to mention in the video, Star Wars was overwhelmingly, although not exclusively, something that men enjoyed. So you paid $4 billion for an asset, and now we're doing this with it. Ron,
Star Wars wouldn't even exist without Marcia Lucas.
That too. I was going to get to that. Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
It's insane to say even if it weren't the fact that the male audience was the predominant audience of this particular property, even if it was only a third of the audience, how do you tell your prospective customers, my job is to make you uncomfortable in the movie theater? This isn't Schindler's List. There might be some kind of creative work where making people feel uncomfortable is appropriate. This is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a little out of context there. And one of the other comments I made, I guess if I can scroll through and find this.
Imagine if when you went to the concession stand during the movie, if they told you that the popcorn was not for you. That would go over well for their popcorn sales. That's how stupid this is.
Well, but here's the issue. We have a track record, and let me switch over to this one because I think this is, if I can find this. Here we go. Yeah, this is the one I want for right now. So let me play this next clip. This is far more recent. Okay, let me pull this down and then pull in the other window here. Bear with me 1 second. This is something far more recent. Okay, far more recent. So again. Hey, we're out of context. Hey, this is from, 7 years ago, and she was talking about something else, and so on and so forth.
I think at the heart of everything, I am a storyteller and an activist. And my body of work over the last 20 years has been guided by my activism, and every single piece of work that I've ever created has a piece of activism in it. It could be very overt or it could be covert, but it is there. And I think that as a storyteller, I'm not sure if all of you know this, but I'm not a trained filmmaker. So I never went to film school. I went to Smith College and did my undergraduate and studied economics and political science like a good Pakistani girl. And then I did my graduate studies, but also in international politics. And so I am an accidental filmmaker.
So, I mean, everything about her, and again, everything about her, what she does, it seems to be, I am going to reflect my own personal politics into everything that I create. She's on the record over and over and over and over again as saying this. And I'll ask you guys the question. Does this seem like somebody who is a good fit for a $300 million production of a major intellectual property?
Yes.
If you want someone who's unfireable. Given their management philosophy now,
mm-hmm.
and the obvious point going back over the previous hour of our conversation that they have no intention or no ability. Because remember what I said a couple weeks ago, I'm not sure they could change the culture of this company even if they wanted to. Even if we did bring in Valiant Renegade to head Disney, I don't think you could do it. And you're an able man, a fine man. But I don't think you could do it because the culture is so baked in at this point.
Well, you're right. And that's just the problem. I mean, in order to change it, you'd have to take some fairly radical steps. I mean, there'd have to be a lot of people at Disney that would have to be summarily chucked, right? It's not just about Bob Iger. It's not just about the board. It's about all of the upper and let's maybe go down to the mid-level management, executives, creative directors, and all this kind of stuff over there at Disney. A lot of that has been populated with people of that same ilk, that same mindset over the last several years, thanks to programs like Reimagine Tomorrow, like Pro brought up earlier, when you say, we need to hire somebody that will make Disney more ethnically diverse, more gender diverse, more LGBTQ diverse. Okay, are they qualified for the positions? Can they tell good stories and maximize the profits of the company by making the best stories that appeal to the widest audiences? We have no idea. No, probably not, but we've got to get 50% of the people here that don't look like this anymore. I mean, and it's not just Disney. We saw comments from IBM, the CEO of IBM recently that made it out on Twitter. Somebody leaked that video talking about how executive compensation and executive bonuses would be linked to how many DEI hires that they made. So if you wanted to get paid your maximum amount under your contract, you had to hire people that were not white, not male, all this kind of stuff. You had to hit certain racial quotas, which my understanding is fairly unconstitutional. So It's going to be interesting to see. I know we talked about this last week, is how this is going to eventually trickle down from that case that we saw earlier this year with Harvard and their student admission practice and setting racial quotas with that admission practice. That's somebody's going to bring that into a federal court for sure with corporate hiring. It's going to happen, guaranteed. I would think so. Ron, what do you think?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But, if it happens in the Ninth Circuit.
Well, right. It all depends on where it gets. Well, if the Ninth Circuit strikes it down, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. It's going to get heard by the Supreme Court, because I think the Supreme Court automatically goes, well, we pretty much have to review everything the Ninth Circuit does.
I sure hope so, because I've still got a cert petition up there.
Well, they just agreed to review the Colorado case with Trump in the ballot, or was it Colorado, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They had to.
Yeah, they had to, right? Because the Colorado State Supreme Court said, no, he won't be on the ballot. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, we want to hear this. Ultimately, in that case, you got to let the voters decide, right? That's the whole point of an election. But in this case with Disney, or hiring practices, look, if you're going to set racial quotas, you're treading into funny waters. They've just gotten away with it for so long because culturally, the racial quotas that they put in place were what was desired in many places, I guess, at some point. Still unconstitutional, just as they were back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. They were just as unconstitutional today, to do that. It's reprehensible. And the problem is, you're just not, instead of trying to hire the best people regardless of what they look like or who they are, you're just trying to hire people that look a certain way to fit what you want to have and be able to say.
Well, but in this case, this goes beyond that, though, because this is not just affirmative action. This is someone who is, and this actually kind of takes it out of the legal realm.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who's coming to say, I'm contemptuous of the shareholders' interests here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been given their money to make their customers feel uncomfortable, and I intend to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's baffling to me. It really is. Pro, any thoughts on that? I don't know if you got back.
Oh, I'm just glad that 2024 is going to be less contentious and we'll go back to having fun. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind.
Absolutely. Oh, it
Yeah,
sure will.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, as we get closer to November, the insanity that's going to ensue out of Hollywood, especially as Hollywood is going to be strapped for cash more than ever before based on the box office.
Yeah, I know. Let me bring up one last part, and I prefaced this at the beginning of the show, and I'll say it again for those of you who weren't here at the time. I'm not the type that, I'm not picking on other YouTubers. I never do that here. That's not what we do. There were some comments made early this week by another YouTuber regarding this whole situation that I thought were worthy of addressing. I talked about it on Twitter. And again, I think there's some missing context here. So this is not not bashing on a person. He's got a fine channel. He's built a great name for himself. Nothing but respect for John Rocca and the guys over there. But I want to discuss what was said. We're not talking about him personally. I don't want everybody to go be mean over there and do stuff like not what I'm saying. But I want to bring this up for context again, because Ron has probably not seen much of this, if any. So let me kind of pull this up. Now, I will say, a little bit of a warning here. It's he's got some bad words in there, some F-bombs.
We're about to go blue.
Yeah. Letting everybody know now, if you got some kiddos in the room, this would be a good time to mute and just, go away for maybe 30 seconds is all this is.
I dare say what he says will be more offensive than the profanities, though.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not trying to pick on another YouTuber. Please, y'all don't misunderstand. But we want to discuss simply the position, because this is not just his. There's a lot of folks out there. I have an article queued up from Forbes magazine that came out yesterday. Same kind of thing. They're all trying to defend the comments that people were queuing on the first video we played of Obaid-Chinoy from back in 2015 about wanting to make men uncomfortable. So let me play this. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I swear to men, reach down into your pants, find your fucking balls and your and be okay with it. we can take a woman directing a film in Star Wars and live. We're all gonna fucking survive. I swear to God, you guys want to come off like you're tough motherfuckers, and you're a bunch of wusses. Finally, a woman gets to direct a theatrical feature in Star Wars with Rey, with other women leading the way. And there's nothing fucking wrong with that.
Okay, that's basically the end of the comment. No, I don't think. What do y'all think? Is there anything wrong with a woman directing Star Wars, Ron?
I have the perfect answer to this. Everybody, place your eyes on the right side. You moved the frame. We had the perfect frame. Just
sorry, I had
randomly move.
I swear to God.
Everybody, look. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Play it with it muted. I'm going to show everybody.
Okay.
All right. You don't have to wonder like how this is going to be received. Everybody, watch Jeff Snyder.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't watch Rocha or Rocha. Watch Jeff Snyder. See, does Jeff Snyder want out of this situation? Watch as it plays. He's looking to the side. He's saying, "Oh man, why did I agree to come on? Why? This is a bad situation for me. Cover my mouth. I'm in an uncomfortable spot here." He's not engaged with this. He's the kind of guy who's looking like, I really don't need to be here. Right? I mean, look at how Ron is looking right now. Ron's engaged with the idea. He's focused forward. Snyder is looking off the side. He wants out of it. That's what you got to know. It's just tough guy talk that doesn't have any logic behind it.
And I'm going to say this. Look, I've watched, just real quick, Ron, I'm going to get your thoughts. But because these are sensitive situations. When you do this on YouTube, I always get nervous about doing this. I don't know if I've ever done this before. But look, I'm a fan of these two in terms of listening to them, because regardless of whether I agree with, like what John has to say a lot of times, and there's probably a lot of times that I disagree with John, but Jeff Snyder, he's a scooper, right? He gets rumors and he gets behind the scenes information, and he gets a lot of good information many times.
He said, I love his Twitter handle. Have you seen that? At the N Snyder.
At the N Snyder. That's cute.
Well played.
So, I mean, a lot of respect for what these guys do, and I want to make that abundantly clear, even though I might not agree with a lot of things like this. I don't agree with John on this at all. But my point is, his statement here is representative of what I see a lot in the media right now. I'm going to pull that down, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why I wanted to bring it up. As I'm bringing that up, we have a guest backstage. I can't believe how is he still awake? What is up, Andre from Midnight's Edge, joining us?
Never sets in Norway.
This is true, but I am not in Norway, so that's the getaway.
Where are you traveling to?
I haven't been in Norway for like 6 months. I'm in the Canary Islands.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Well, that's a different temperature, yes.
Yes, slightly different climate than Norway.
Slightly different, especially now when you have like this record winter in all the Nordic zone. But anyway, that aside,
you traded the Northern Lights for a Speedo, eh?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, you have to change your avatar now. You get to keep the Viking hat on, as you are so well deserving of that, but it's got to be a Viking hat with a Speedo.
I'll see what I can do here. Well, I'm not used to Sweden. Like in Norway, I go to the sauna, so you don't even wear that. But hey, that's a different thing. So, yeah.
So I don't know if you gentlemen have ever met Ron Coleman, Andre Einhar from Midnight's Edge.
We've been together before.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know. But so anyway, back to what we were talking about there. That statement from John. Ron, again, you're kind of coming into this whole situation not having seen any of this. What is your reaction to that after all the stuff we just watched with Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy?
It's an obvious use of a straw man. It's not as if anyone said, no girls allowed in our treehouse.
Right.
No one said that. If someone would merely look at the clip that you put up and listen to what this woman said about her contempt for her audience, for a half of mankind, and then without even hit the context of how that's gone so far for Disney, which is not well.
No, it hasn't.
Insane. And that would be the basis of the complaint. And from what I gather from you guys, also, there's a million things about this movie that sound like they're going to suck.
Yes.
We can't figure out how it won't suck.
Yeah, starting with the fact that it's about Rey. But real quick, just to show, and then Andre, do chime in, because I know you've been covering this topic as well. I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely.
This is from Forbes magazine. This is from yesterday, from Paul Tassi. Paul Tassi, who, he put some good stuff on Forbes. He gets a lot of good information. I've seen people say, well, he's Forbes' new Scotty Mendelson. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but... Yeah, I think
easy.
Yeah,
Although Paul has not had a good run.
I said some people have been making that comment. I have not. But the point is...
Who are these people?
To bring this up... Star Wars directors make men uncomfortable, quote, is 8 years out of context. Is the headline accurate to a degree? Yes, it's from 8 years ago. Is it out of context? Well, like we discussed before, in and of itself, you could make the argument. But the problem is when you compound it with the other statements that have been added to this. Just as recently as a year ago at Star Wars Celebration, when Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy was on stage bringing out Daisy Ridley, we're doing a Rey movie. And then other interviews she's done, clips that we just played.
I got you one better. New Year's Eve, exactly 8 days ago.
I was going to say
that statement right there recontextualizes this when it puts it straight back into context again.
Yep, and that's the first clip that we played. It was a little before you hopped in, but yes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Then no, that's all right. I was going to say we had that one up as well, but I mean it's time that a woman lead the franchise in a galaxy far, far away. So
the problem here is that when she says that she likes to make men uncomfortable. Okay, if you're talking about particular men who hold terrible views about women and act in a totalitarian, authoritarian, and tyrannical fashion over women, cool. I hope you make them all uncomfortable. I'll join you in making them uncomfortable.
Amen.
That said, that doesn't mean that Western men need to be made to feel the same when they don't have those views. And so the idea that you'd like to make just men uncomfortable by virtue of the fact that they're men, well, that's misandry, because you have turned an entire sex or biology into a monolith. And that's sexism, flat out.
Pro, we're so beyond that. We're so beyond that. That's where
here he goes with the identities
again. If she ever had said that my comments are directed strictly towards Muslim Pakistani men of the extreme persuasion, I know the rest of the men on the planet aren't like this, the WEF would have had nothing to do with her ever. It is specifically because she generalizes and she is so good at, here is someone that really can divide. So here is someone that now, because of this local situation, he has internalized this hatred against all men. Now, this is a person we can use, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And here's what I would say. I don't know this to be true, but just play this out, everybody. Think about it. Bob Iger comes in, brand new, kicks off the old new Bob, and Bob Iger's back in the saddle, and he goes to Kathleen and says, Kathleen, we're going to do a Rey movie. We're going to bring back that character. And Kathleen says, okay. And Kathleen looks and says, how do I put the knife into those darn Star Wars fans just a little bit more?
Yep.
Oh, I know. I'll hire somebody. Now that I've got this mandate to make a Rey movie, I'll hire somebody who can do all the stuff I've been wanting to do, but she's unfireable. Well, how do you hire somebody who's unfireable? You hire Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and let her loose. She's a flamethrower.
Well, again, to throw the additional context in, to remind folks, Kathleen Kennedy, when this all started, what was one of the first remarks she made? Well, we don't want to make new Star Wars for 50-year-old men. Well, that's what you paid $4 billion for, Disney. I mean, that's what you paid for. The 50-year-old, and not exclusively 50-year-old men, obviously, but the older generation, what she was saying was, we're not making Star Wars for men anymore. That's what made that franchise worth the $4 billion when Disney bought it. Remember, Disney didn't even want to pay the $4 billion. Disney wanted to pay less.
Can I
they
just
want to pay 3.7 exactly? I remember it well. 3.7.
Ron, what do you got?
Rachel Ziegler.
Oh,
That was the next stop. Yeah.
We said no profanity on this show. We've already hit the quota.
Rachel Ziegler, okay? Obviously, even Disney recognizes after the year of Rachel,
Oh, God, yeah.
that there are limits to this kind of crap.
Yeah.
So is it possible they're going to so remember the apology tour, that ridiculous interview?
The well-trained, completely BS apology tour, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they now again that's an 8-year-old clip that we listened to where she said she wants to make people feel uncomfortable?
Where she wants to make men feel uncomfortable.
Well,
Right.
Right.
And with absolutely no modifier as to which men, which to me indicates that in her mind, all men are the same. If a man, just consider this, I know many others have made that point, but if a man had used that exact same term, I want to make women feel uncomfortable. If a man had said that, it would have been the end of the world. A man could say something like that, but then he would have to put in all of these, not hedges, but modifiers as to specifically.
As a man who
which
routinely
ones
makes
he
women
meant,
feel
right?
uncomfortable, just
But-
getting
but
onto the bus.
But here, there's no modifier whatsoever. There's never a single modifier in any of her speeches.
Right, of course.
And
White
these aren't
people,
just
white people.
these
white
aren't just sentences. We've seen minutes worth of video, and there's never any kind of modifier about like which men she's referring to.
You know what's
Right.
missing, Andre? What's missing is, in every one of those times that she says it, somebody, whoever's doing the interviewing, if they were functioning like a normal human being, when she said something like that, they would look at her and say, well, that's stupid. Because that's what normal people would say. But we're all supposed to
they're
sit
not
around and
normal
watch
people.
puppets on
they're
TV
access
act
media.
stupid.
Yeah.
Access media is not normal people.
Access media is not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan would have done that.
Yeah.
Ron
and-
Coleman would have done that.
yeah, I was gonna- Ron Coleman and Culmination Podcast would have done that. And
There's two
hopefully,
people I believe in. It's Joe Rogan and Ron Coleman.
you know, and still, there's time, folks. Remember, Ron Coleman was 180 subscribers away from hitting 10,000 on his YouTube channel. So remember, I think we can get that done tonight.
You know, there's going to be people out there who the greatest shame in their life is going to be knowing that they could have been part of that first 10,000, and they waited. Be part of the celebration, folks. Get in on it. Be part of the milestone.
We're not sweating this. We're not sweating this.
I know you're not. Well, you know, like I said before, the thing with Rachel was, and this is very related, right? Because like I said at the top of the show, this whole thing with Obaid-Chinoy, this is the new Rachel Ziegler moment. This is the new. I mean, Rachel Ziegler's probably sitting around this week watching all this stuff go down with Obaid-Chinoy, going, "Thank God," you know, because it's like all of a sudden, you know, she has basically taken. She's the new Rachel right now. And the thing with Rachel Ziegler, you know, Disney had, you know, put her into training to go do that interview and basically try to be a much more reserved, more mature individual and try to come off. Because, I mean, look, but I don't believe any of that. The real Rachel Ziegler is the one that you got that was unscripted, right? That the one that we did videos on for weeks. That's the real her.
Well, she's Gen Z, so of course.
Yeah. We know what the real Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy looks like now, and we know exactly what to expect of this film, regardless of how Disney may try to reshape her, at least in the public image. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.